والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
Islam 101.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah amma ba'du. Welcome once again to another episode of Islam 101, which will be inshallah the very last episode concerning the explanation and the tafsir of Surah Al-Inshirah. Last week we ended, because the time seems to fly by in these episodes, with the question of Nick concerning suicide and whether or not a person was allowed to commit suicide due to the fact that he was suffering from a disease or an illness that caused him undue duress, stress, and pain. Someone has a serious disease, and the ayat of the Qur'an is saying, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Verily, with difficulty there's ease. With difficulty there's ease. So, where is the ease for this individual who's dying and he's suffering, as we've seen certain people suffer? Is it allowed for him to take his own life? We said no, it's not permissible by any stretch of the imagination. Number one, because of the ayah, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not burden a soul beyond its scope and its ability. Whatever happens to an individual in this life, he has the ability to handle it, or Allah would not have decreed it upon that individual. So he has to be patient. And we told you that the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that an-nasr, help, victory comes with a sabr. Victory is going to come with you being patient. And you have to believe that, even with the one who's suffering, victory and ease is going to come with this situation. Does that mean he's going to become well again? I'm not saying that. I can't promise that. But Allah Azza wa Jal, the Most High, every time the Muslim, for an example, is suffering, that is a purification for him. It is a tazkiyah and a tahara for him. And that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever someone was sick, he would say to them, Tahur, inshaAllah. Tahur, it's a purifier for you. You're becoming clean from your sins, so be patient. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was dying, he suffered from a serious headache. And he used to have to suffer from twice the pain of the normal man. But he was patient, because you're becoming pure in order to go to the Jannah, inshaAllah. Another reason why it is not permissible is because of the ayat in Surah An-Nisa, in which Allah Ta'ala told us, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تُؤَدُّوا الْأَمَانَاتِ إِلَى أَهْلِهَا. Verily Allah has commanded you people to return the amana, or the trust, back to its rightful owner. So if someone has left this mushaf, this Qur'an, as a trust with me, I have to give it back. I marry a man's daughter, and he entrusted me to take care of his daughter. I have to take care of the amana, the trust. Similarly, Allah has given us all an amana. And the amana that Allah has given us is, one of the amanas is the bodies that we have. This is an amana. You cannot do to your body any and everything that you want to do. You can't put tattoos on your body. You can't chisel your teeth. Women can't pluck their eyebrows. Men can't cut their beards. You can't do anything to this body except what Al-Islam has allowed. So when you die, Allah is going to ask you about the amana. So from the amana is that you have to protect your life. And you can't do drugs. You can't do things that are going to compromise the safety of the amana. You have to give it back to Allah when you die in the correct way. Another proof, Ikhwani, is the man who was making jihad with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was stabbed by the enemy. And he couldn't be patient. He wasn't patient. So he put his sword in the ground and he jumped on the sword, thus committing suicide, and he killed himself. Rasulullah said that man is in the hellfire. He was supposed to be patient with the wound. Either he became cured from the wound or he died. But in another hadith, the one who committed suicide, in the hadith al-Qudsi, in which Allah said, Badarani abdi, my slave was in haste. He wasn't patient. He wasn't patient with what I decreed. So he has to go to the hellfire. So it's not permissible for a person to commit suicide in that circumstance. It's not permissible. Anyone has any other questions before we complete the tafsir? The last ayahs that we're going to deal with, brothers and sisters, our respected viewers from our non-Muslim friends, is that Allah Ta'ala ended the ayah by saying, so ya Muhammad, once you're finishing your toiling and your struggle, once you finish toiling and struggling, then turn to Allah with complete raghbah. Turn to Allah with complete devotion and concentration. So we have to look at these last two ayahs in light of all of the other ayahs. Did we not listen to all of the favors that Allah is mentioning, and then look at them in light of the last two ayahs? Ya Muhammad, did we not expand for you your breasts? And we took off of you the thing that caused your back to go down? And we raised your remembrance in the dunya and in the hereafter? And verily, with difficulty there is ease. With difficulty there is ease. So therefore, once you finish toiling and struggling, then turn in complete devotion to Allah. After all of these favors that Allah has bestowed upon you, Ya Muhammad, and your job is done, now turn your attention to completely and absolutely worshiping Allah in complete, total submission and devotion. As your shukr, you should thank Allah for all of the favors that He bestowed upon you. So, what we learn from that are a number of things. As human beings, Allah Ta'ala has given us a number of favors. And if you were to count the favors of Allah, never would you be able to count all of them. Some of us are married, we have good wives. Some of us have children. Some of us, we know some people who are afflicted when they came out and they were born, they have handicaps, for lack of a better word, even though I don't like using the word handicap, because in reality, some people who are handicapped are in a better condition than those people who are not handicapped. The real handicapped one is the one who has eyes, but he can't see. He has an intellect, but he doesn't use it. He's the one who's really handicapped. Where the man who may not have his physical eyes, but he has spiritual eyes by which he can see with. He's not handicapped. But for lack of a better word, some of us look at how some of those people who are handicapped, how they are, and we say, Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create me like that. People were walking on all fours. Some people, their lower extremities are cut off. Other people, their heart outside of the body. He has half of a lung, one kidney, all kind of issues. So Rasulullah told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't look at people who are above you, people who have more than you. Look at the people who are below you. Because when you look and you compare your situation to the people below you, it will cause you to be more grateful and thankful for Allah giving you what He has given you. But if we live our life saying, look how much money this one has, look how much money that one has, look how big his house is, then we can open the door to forget the favors of Allah that He put upon us. So everyone has a lot of favors that Allah has bestowed upon him. You have good health, you have a good mind, sound body, you have enough food to eat that day, you have security where you're living at, your parents are still here, you have children, whatever your case is. Whatever Allah has blessed you with, turn to Allah in complete and total submission. Once Allah has gotten you through a trial or a tribulation, once you're through it, don't forget Allah. Don't be like those people who forgot about Allah and Allah made them forget about themselves. When the person is flying in the plane and the plane starts to go through turbulence, or he's in the ocean and the waves are sending him to and fro, he makes dua. Say, oh Allah, please help us, please help us. If you get us through this, we'll do this and we'll do that. Once Allah arrives them and causes them to arrive safely, look at them. فَإِذَا بِهِمْ يُشْرِكُونَ. They go back to making shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The wife, she has a baby, she has a difficult pregnancy, the baby could lose their life, the mother could lose their life. So they say with dua, oh Allah, if you deliver us a good child, we're going to worship you and we'll be thankful. And then after the child comes out everyone is okay, the baby, the mother, everyone's okay, they go back and they make the tamima around their arm. They worship other than Allah Azza wa Jal. So the point from all of this is, when Allah takes you from point A, and you're going through the toils and the struggles of your life, and then He saves you from that problem that you were making supplication to be saved from, once you finish that, give thanks to Allah by making the salat of al-fajr, by making all of the prayers, by doing the wajibat of al-Islam, those obligatory deeds. How is it possible that Allah, the Most High, can order the Muslim woman to wear hijab, for an example, but she says, no, I'm not going to wear hijab. And then when something comes into her life, in terms of a challenge or a struggle, very quickly you'll find that she'll turn to Allah in complete sincerity and devotion. Allah gets her through the problem, and lo and behold, the girl doesn't put the hijab on still. No, there are signs that are going on around us constantly, and we have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what He has given us. In addition to that, from what we benefit from this ayat, something very important concerning the devotion of Allah and the concentration that the servant has to have in relationship to that devotion. And that is, the ayat told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَإِذَا فَرَقْتَ فَانْصَبْ, and if you finish toiling and struggling, once you finish your work, turn to Allah in complete devotion. That goes to show that when a person is going to worship Allah, make salat or other than that, he has to be focused. He cannot allow the dunya to come into conflict and to mix with his ibadah or his worship with Allah. And so that's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he legislated a number of things. When we have to pray, he says sallallahu alaihi wasallam, La salata wa huwa yudafi al-akhbathan. There's no salat for the person who has to go to the bathroom. He has to use the bathroom, and he's feeling the pains and the call of nature saying, come to the bathroom. Islam says, don't get up and pray in that condition, because you're not going to have complete devotion and concentration on your salah. Go ahead and use the bathroom. You shouldn't hold in gas. You shouldn't hold in the urine, akramakumullah, or other than that. You should relieve yourself and free yourself so that you would have the complete devotion to Allah Azza wa Jal. We'll be back to complete, inshallah, this surah, and we ask Allah to make it easy for us and easy for you.
Islam 101. Islam 101.
Welcome back to Islam 101. And the point we left off on is the fact that in al-Islam, Allah's Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammad, he has brought us a religion, and he has taught us when it's time to turn to the ibadah or the worship of Allah, we have to be totally and completely focused on the job at hand. So therefore, if the time comes where we're going to pray Salat al-Isha, the last prayer of the day, or maybe Salat al-Dhuhr, the middle prayer of the day, and food is placed at the time of the prayer, then he told us sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go ahead and eat the food. And the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what they used to do was, like Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Abbas, whenever the food would be put down there at the same time that the salat was started in Rasulullah's masjid, they would sit and they would eat, and they wouldn't rush. They would take their time. They wouldn't rush, feeling I have to eat very quick to go catch up to the salat. No, it's permissible. Also, he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that it is not permissible for a person who is making umrah or hajj to get married or to marry someone off. He said, la yankihu muhram wa la yunkah. The one who's a muhram, he's in ihram. He has his ihram for hajj or umrah. If he's in the state of ihram, he cannot marry someone, nor can he marry his wali, his girl, his daughter off, because that will make him become unfocused as it relates to the job at hand, which is the Umrah or the Hajj. Similar to it is what the scholars of Islam say. There's no hadith preventing this, but it is makruh for the young man to get married in the month of Ramadan. You brothers are very young, 20, 21, 22, and all of you are unmarried. Some of our listening audience, even from the girls who are young, it's disliked for you to get married in the month of Ramadan. It's not haram. No one can make it haram because there's no dalil or proof to make it haram. But since we've been commanded to leave alone drink, food, and having sexual relationships in the month of Ramadan, if a person were to get married, the shaitan will come and he will open up the door of a shahwa. He will open up the door and he may make you weak and you succumb to your desires of wanting to have relationships. So, Ramadan is a time where you have to be focused. So therefore, the scholars of Islam said that it was disliked for young people especially, or the person who can't control himself, to get married in that month. But if the person has the ability to control himself, it is permissible to do so. So that is the tafsir of Surah Al-Inshirah. We look forward, inshallah, to dealing with some other surahs of the Qur'an and explaining them according to what is acceptable in the Arabic language, according to what goes with in consistency and harmony with the Qur'an and the Sunnah, and according to what the ulama from the companions and other than the companions gave us from the tafsir of the Qur'an. So if there are any questions, inshallah, we'll entertain any questions you may have. Sulaiman, عندك شيء؟ تفضل.
There are some chapters in the Holy Quran. These chapters was opened with some of alphabets. They call it in Arabic al-huruf al-muqatta'a. What do you want to say about this surah?
Concerning the ayats that are known as the huruf al-muqatta'a, certain verses of the Quran begin with the words or the letters alif, lam, mim, alif, lam, ra, yasin, sad. What do we have to say about these issues? First of all, no one knows the meanings of these issues. When you read the tafsir of the Quran and they say yasin means ya insan, O mankind, there's no proof for that. Doesn't mean that. Yasin is a name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's no proof for that. You can't believe in that because there's no mustanid. There's nothing that you can use. There is nothing that you can use to support or to prove that. So we say that those ayats, Allah knows the reality as to the meaning of those ayat. They're from the mutashabihat of the Qur'an. Those ayats are clear. Say Allah is one. Verily the religion with Allah is al-Islam. And whoever chooses other than Islam as a religion, it will not be accepted for him. All of those ayat are clear. That is the mother of the book. Most of the book is clear like that. But also in the Qur'an are ayat that are mutashabihat. We don't know the meaning of them. La ya'lamuha illa Allah. No one knows the meaning of them except Allah. So Allah went on to say in this ayat, as for those people who have diseases in their hearts, they're the ones who go after trying to figure out what is the meaning of this ayat and that ayat. Alif lam mim, alif lam ra. He spends 3 days, 5 days, wastes people's time saying it means this, it means that, it means this. And there's no proof for what he's claiming. As for those people who are grounded in knowledge, the rasikhuna fil ilm, those people who have iman and knowledge, they say, amanna bih, kullu min inda rabbina. We believe in all of it. We believe in alif lam mim, we believe in qul huwallahu ahad. All of that is from our Lord, whether we understand it or whether we don't understand it, and we accept and embrace and recognize some of those ayat are not understood, and they're not meant to be understood until Yawm al-Qiyamah, when Allah makes the issues clear between the people. So that's our position. And we shouldn't be like the munafiqeen, those hypocrites. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave examples of the Qur'an, in the Qur'an, He will give an example by mentioning the gnat, He'll mention the fly, He'll mention the bee, He'll mention the snake in the Qur'an, He'll mention the cow, He'll mention the camel, the horse, He'll mention the donkey, akramakumullah, He'll mention the elephant, He'll mention the ghurab or the crow, He mentions the spider, He mentions all of these issues in the Qur'an about animals and insects. And He mentioned what the munafiqun, the kuffar, the disbelievers, the hypocrites, what they had to say. Allah Ta'ala said concerning those people that those people say, why is it that Allah gives these examples? Allah's not shy to give an example of the Qur'an, of whatever, of a mosquito, a gnat, or bigger than that, or smaller than that. The similitude of the gnat is this. The similitude of the one who worships other than Allah is like the one who is like the spider's house. And the spider's house is weak. The worst sound is the braying of the ass, of the donkey, and so forth and so on. The non-believers say, why does Allah give those examples in the Qur'an? A snake, a whale, a cow, a fish, this, that. Why is that? What did they want? What does Allah want by that example? Allah said, as for those who believe, they know it's the truth from their Lord. And they don't have a problem with accepting it. So, Ikhwani, one of the signs of the people of deviation, the people of desires, Ahlul Ahwa and Ahlul Bid'ah, the people of deviation and the people of desires, may Allah protect me and you from being from amongst them. One of their signs is they go after and they look after these ayat and these issues. There was an incident that happened with a young man by the name of Sabah during the time of Umar radiallahu anhu. That man used to go and he would take the ayat of the Qur'an, especially in the last portion of the Qur'an, those ayats that are a bit difficult to understand for the normal person. And he would go around asking the people, what's the meaning of this ayat? What's the meaning of that ayat? Confusing himself and trying to confuse the people. Umar radiallahu anhu was the Khalif. He said, bring that man to me, bring that boy. They brought him to Umar and he was tied up. He said, why are you asking these questions? He said, I want to know, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. So Umar radiallahu anhu took some palm fiber leaves, wrapped them up, and he began to give him the had from the hudud of Allah. And he began to hit him. That man said, okay, Amir al-Mu'mineen, if you're hitting me to kill me, then kill me once and for all. Don't keep hitting me. Kill me once and for all. But if you're hitting me so that I'll stop what I'm doing, then the shaitan, the jinn that was inside of me, making me ask those questions, he went away now. I've learned my lesson. So Umar radiallahu anhu, what did he do? He put that boy outside of the city and exonerated him. Or he expelled him from the city. I'm sorry. He said, you have to live outside of the city. We don't want you to be around the Muslims out of fear that those pollutants that are in your mind, in your head, in your heart are going to spill over into the Muslim community. And that's how the leaders and the ulama of al-Islam in the past, that's how they used to deal with the people of desires. To protect the Muslims from going astray, they would ostracize them and isolate them. Al-Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, was in the masjid. The man came and he started asking about an ayat of the Qur'an. Ar-Rahman, ala al-arsh istawa. Allah is over his throne. Allah is not everywhere. Allah is over his throne and he sends the rain from the sky and the rahmah from the sky. He answers your dua when you raise your hands and they go up to the sky. He is over the throne in a way that befits his majesty. He's not in my pocket. He's not inside of my ear. He's not under the nail of my big toe. Allah is over the arsh, stawa, in a way that befits his majesty. So people wanted to use their intellect. So the man came and he wanted to ask Al-Imam Malik, I want to debate you about this. Istiwa of Allah. The fact that Allah is above the throne. Let's debate, you and me. Al-Imam Malik had the ability to take that man and to twist him up like a pretzel and eat him and spit him out. But Al-Imam Malik did what? He took his two fingers and he put them in his ears and he said, as for me, I know that Ar-Rahman is over his arsh, over his throne. And I'm not in doubt about that issue of my deen, my religion. As for you, you're in doubt. Go and look for someone who you can debate about the religion, who's in doubt like you're in doubt. They wouldn't give these people the time of day to debate and to discuss with them. And Imam Ahmed, another Imam of the Sunnah, a tremendous personality in al-Islam, and we're going to deal, inshallah, with the mihna and the fitna of Imam Ahmed, the trial that he was put through in order to defend the Sunnah and in order to defend the Kalam of Allah and its reality. And Imam Ahmed, in his book, Usul Sunnah, the fundamentals of the Sunnah, he began by saying that as-sunnatu indana al-iqtida bima kana alayhi ashabu Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Sunnah to us is following what the companions were upon, doing exactly what they were doing. And it was also what? Tark al-jidal. And it was also doing what? Not arguing in the religion about these issues. So that's Surah Al-Inshirah. It was a pleasure bringing it to you. Inshallah, you got some benefit. Hopefully we'll bring more surahs of the Qur'an similar to this, and may Allah accept it from us and from you. If there are any mistakes that were made, we ask Allah to forgive us, because this is the kalam of Allah, and may He establish our feet firmly in our hearts upon the kitab and the sunnah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Islam. Islam.